who's not a violin student here? Oh, a lot. What do you guys play? Piano? Viola? What? Cello. I thought you said trombone. You used to play the trombone.
It doesn't have to, you don't have to do
So it was such a beautiful concert last night, huh? And this is a great hall. In the middle of the woods.
You ready to get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think we're already live. We're talking about hot mic moments, but let's start the class so everyone has as much time. Really, really pleased to have Ian Swensen, who's new to our faculty this summer. He was going to come last summer, but that didn't work out as we all had planned. But we're really, really happy to have him join our artist faculty this summer. Ian, as you know, has had a wonderful career in chamber music and solo playing, and has for many years now been a named professor. You have a named chair, right? At the
and I left it out for a while.
named professor of violin at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. We have 4 violinists playing this morning, about half an hour each. And as we figured out in this hall for the live stream, we're going to do this all without miking, so that the microphone can pick everything up for the live stream at an equal volume. So if you have any trouble hearing, just come down. Feel free. Move around as you need. All right. So let's welcome our first Ian. Thank you.
Sory and Cynthia. Okay, great. Oh, maybe I need a music stand. Yeah, thanks, man. Bravo! It's wonderful, wonderful. So, you started the piece really well, and it feels like you know where you are and what you want to do. I was going to just ask about, this piece is not played as often at the violinist Beethoven Sonata repertoire. And thanks. Thanks, that's great. And just tell me a little bit about what you think or feel about this piece. What are the difficulties of this piece? What is it that you love about playing this piece?
So first of all, the reason why I chose this piece is just it sounds so beautiful. Like when I listen to the whole piece, it's like literally something beautiful storytelling. So
yeah, that's true.
And actually, the difficulty is kind of like it's really delicate. It to play. So and something like sound quality also hard to make a little bit make sense, making sense.
Hard to make sense of the piece or the sound?
The sound.
In what way?
It's not like extremely clear character for me.
Okay.
So it's not like really like aggressive or really like too happy. Not it's not like that piece. I think. So, and I always feel like it is hard to find the middle in the range of the emotion. So I think
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the beginning. When you think about the beginning and the sound and what you want to do, no, it's really good. But what do you think? Where's your ear going with the sound? Right? Because there's a lot of notes. I mean, we can listen to so many different things. So how are you focusing your sound, or what are you doing with your? Where do you put your sound?
So first of all, a little bit shiny,
okay,
but like still in one long line. So
beautiful.
Yeah, and as you see on the score, it's really like long slurs there, and it was really hard for me to make the shiny sound in like that long row. So yeah.
So you're focused on your sound. Yeah, and that's really important. At the beginning, who has the main melodic material?
So first she has it, and then I think I take it.
Where do you take it? Right, that's right.
Yeah.
So before that, we're meant to listen to, I guess the piano bass line is the bass,
Yeah.
and the right hand is the top line. So for me, as soon as a violin plays, I just listen to the violin, because I don't know how you guys do it. But like, I sometimes don't listen to the right hand of the piano melodically. So I think you both have to help us with that. As soon as the violin plays, I hear also, actually it's a beautiful sound that you make. And you play really, really well together. And you play really, really well in tune, which is not easy, because everything shows in these pieces. But my ear doesn't know where to go. So I listen to the piece and it's like this beautiful, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really pretty. Like, where's the melody? And I can't hear it. And so Beethoven is a master of making a great piece without much of a melody. So it's actually how it is. But the right hand, can you sing the right hand for me?
Oh.
I shouldn't ask you to sing right away. I won't do it. I rescind the question. Later, though. So we get. I'm like, oh, it goes all the way to an F sharp. And there's a fourth son on that F sharp, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not much of a melody. No one's going to go home singing it. So it's almost like the beginning of what? I don't know. So what do we remember when we hear this piece? What do we remember? What's the melody? But what, like, does someone go, this piece goes, be da 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 dee da. No? So I have trouble with this piece. I'm like, how's this one go? It's like, dum dee, ba da ba da ba da doo, bom beep. Does it go? So the second theme, ya da 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 dee, right, is a melody. Now, if someone told you that was written by Cherubini or something, you know, wouldn't you go, oh yeah? It's written by Spohr. I mean, does it have a Beethovenian sound? It's such a simple melody, isn't it? So how come it's Beethoven? Do you know what I mean? So like everything you're talking about is actually beautiful. And you play it beautifully. Both of you play very, very well. And you understand the piece quite well. But the piece may be a little bit of a hard nut to crack as far as communicating it with an orchestra, with an audience in a way where they can get a hold of it. Now, I think the second movement is actually quite a melody, isn't it? So the first movement does set up the second movement. And it has this, it's very, very slow and very, very beautiful. And there's no describing it gets a song. That's a great, great, great movement. So, I mean, all things aren't equal, right? But I wonder whether the main music in this is not a melody. For instance, tell me what the main music is in Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Right. Is that a tune? I guess. Right? So that's, we call that a motive. So and what would you call the main motive in this one? So maybe it's just the beginning. I don't know, you know? So to me, sometimes we try to put our minds somewhere. I mean, it's hard to play everything, you know, it's important to play beautifully, but Beethoven was not interested just in beauty, actually, of sound or of character. He sort of was a nature person, right? So he's going to be interested in a lot of things, you know, dreams and sort of like a sense of nature. Now, when you're playing, I feel a beauty, but it's like the beauty of a concert hall. It's very clear and very clean and very lovely, but I don't feel the beauty of nature. Let's put it that way. I don't feel like you walked out of your door and you live in a little, you know, hut in the middle of the forest and you walk down to the stream, you know, and out comes the morning god that says to you, "Good morning, Sory, and how are you today?" I said, "I'm quite well. I'm going to wash my feet in the stream and pick some berries." You know, and of course that sounds really silly, but I think, I don't know about you guys, but in my heart, Like, that is so beautiful. I mean, I would love to wake up in the morning and walk down to a stream and meet the morning god and put my feet in the stream and eat berries. I mean, that was great. I mean, I'd rather do that than prepare for a concert. I mean, I like concerts. So it's a question of, it's really hard psychologically for me. This is really, like, I can't believe I haven't truly learned it yet. At least how I feel, is that what is a concert? It's supposed to bring something to the room that's not necessarily, you know, inherent in the room itself. To bring nature or dreams or art or some magic or some problem or something to the room that's thus sorted out or investigated or explored, that everyone somehow has access to. Now, that's not such an easy thing to say, yeah, we're going to get up here with pieces of wood and strings and a bow and some hammers and tell a story that's going to enrapture everyone into the woods. Is it? So, we think it's hard for us, but how about the composer? You ever sit there with a pencil and a music paper, or just dreaming to come up with something that's going to capture you in an audience? How many of you have tried composing? Yeah, like me. It was like, I always write the cadenza late at night. I think it's great, and I play it in the morning. I'm like, oh, it's not so great. Maybe I need added inspiration for that piece since it's not very good. You know? So this is a challenging thing.
Yeah.
Beethoven, you know, is a great composer. He's going to be looking for something really, really meaningful. And so everything you're talking about is fantastic, and I love it. And it's important for playing the violin, I think. But to find the essence of the music, we have to dig deeper, to try to understand what he wants to communicate. So there, we talked a lot, but here's an introduction, right? Can you just play the first chord? Just the first, just the first few bars. Together? Before you play something, right? Now, I don't know, you know, I just apologize for giving a masterclass, because like Gil Kalish would say, masterclass. It's silly, because who is the master? You know, it's like, look at this music, you know, like, we're all in this together, looking at it, yeah? Now, you're going to play A major, right? So what's A major feel like for you? What's it mean to you? When you're starting in A major. Yeah, and where's the rhythm fall?
Rhythm?
Yeah. In other words, nothing's on the stage, right? Listen. Right? It's quiet. And then. Now, the second time it comes is a forte piano, right?
Yeah.
There's not one first time, but do you hear the feeling of like. So it's just a question, like I practice too, right? And so as I'm practicing, I'm trying to figure out how to play everything. And then I think, but one thing comes from the next, doesn't it? It's like a conversation. One thing leads to the next. Now, when we're listening to this music unfold, are we listening to A major, right? A major, and then our ear has to then travel to the bass line, is that correct? Like a little spaceship with a bass line. And is your next note goes up. So that invites the violin to play. Right? So if you play through that note, then why should the violin come in? Do. And you have to let that note die slightly before you go on. And then you sort of wrap up your stuff. And that note's unusual. And then you have to let that note die a little bit. Yeah. Because that's a dotted half, right? And then you have to breathe, because then you have a long slur, right? So when you start the next slur, you should play softer. That's the biggest lead. So we have to hear, that's a big lead. And that's like the difference between Beethoven and me. Like I start writing some bass line. I don't write a lead like that. I think it's too weird. And I look at it, look what he wrote. So now that's a cadence, right? It's an A, right? In the bass line. And then there you have crescendo. Is that right? Do you have a B sharp? You have a B sharp? Guys, she has a B sharp. But that's also unusual, isn't it? So, I don't have a perfect pitch. Some always lost. There it is. Yeah. And then again. Oh, there we're looking. Understand? So it's just, I don't know how to teach this. This is impossible to teach. But it's part of listening, right? It's part of listening. So let's say we play yom, ba da ba da ba da 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 da. It sounds nice, right? Get it? Well, let's say we play. Go like this with me. Oh, like really feel like, oh. Wanna try it? It's so silly, but maybe it's not. Wanna try it? Oh, just say, oh, like we're actors on the stage. Just for a second. Ooh. Otherwise, we could just practice the A for 10 minutes and go boom until we feel the magic of the A. We could do that too. But, so I'm asking you to sort of look inside for what makes the energy. What are we telling people? Where are we leading them? And it's a really hard thing. I look at my piece and I think, where am I leading them? And I think, oh man, I better figure this out. Where am I leading them? Oh, yo. So then we go like, we don't move, we just gently move forward. And then, wow, do you see how it opened the door? Right? Now, you, in a way, that's happening in your ear because you're not playing that music, are you? No, the piano's playing that. So it doesn't matter who's playing, just like a string quartet, your ear has to follow the meaning of the music. Huh, did I explain that okay, guys? Never ask an audience a question. It's a bad idea. All right, let's try. Just take a second there. And then go ahead and play, then you can leap. And see if we can sing. You know, this is a class really for you and for all of us to think about music together. Yeah? So kind of, if we do this again, everyone should have a score. Yeah? We do it like everyone sings the bass line or something. Yeah? Listen. So wait, and cue. Support her, actually. You should play more. It's a second violin part. The second violin part should have a warmer sound. You should. So don't be so worried about yourself. You play it so well. Do you know what I mean? And you got to bring your dynamic down. So when you play, it has to be fragile in some way. You can't tell people, healthy, very, very healthy and comfortable. Otherwise, they'll go home and have tea. They're already healthy and comfortable. Yeah? Don't be comfortable. It's Beethoven. It's so uncomfortable. How many people have played Beethoven quartets? Have you been really comfortable the whole time? I don't know. I think they're hard. Yeah? So struggle, yeah? in a joyful way. Yeah, I mean, it has more specific character, I think. So the danger, like, when you play the forte, like, the same with the octaves or quartets, right? It can sound a little bit like, because the modern pianos, you know, it's modern. Beethoven pianos are, like, really different. Have you played one? They're really different. They're softer, but they're also stronger in the bass, and the right hand's a little lighter, and there's not so much sostenuto. But the modern piano sometimes sounds like Shostakovich to me. When people play louder, it's like, oh, it's Shostakovich. It's so cool. But it doesn't go. It goes boom, 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 and I go boom, boom, bang, Mussorgsky. You know, like, wow, that's so cool. And I'm like, but their violin part's so delicate. So I would say that you need to play with more inner sound, with more drive, actually. And the piano, you have to watch that your fortes are meaningful, that you lead our ear. You have two parts. Piano parts are really hard. I hate to say it. Early Beethoven, wow. You know, like some young quartets, yeah, we're going to do one of the easy Beethoven quartets. We're going to choose one of the early ones. And I'm like, because things change so fast. In other words, in that amount of music, do you know how much information's in there? It looks so innocent, right? And you go right by, and no one notices that information. All right. Too much talk. So look, when you start this one more time, let's play softer, so in the piano, and more supported in the violin. And then make sure that you feel, like when I play a duet with you, for instance, go from bar 9, or bar 8, okay? And don't play your right hand. I will play your right hand, okay? Bar 8. Just me and you. Because I think that you have to be careful because there's something that you can do to an audience that confuses them. So can you count to 3 for me? Can you guys count 1, 2, 3? Can you say, I know it's just, I'm asking for a simple thing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can you say that for me? Good. Now 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so forth, right? Now, if you listen to just like quartets, play Beethoven quartets with a metronome, have you ever done it? Yeah. When you listen to Beethoven quartets with any quartet playing with a metronome, is it almost ever completely metric? No. Listen again. There is so much more rubato than you think. So sometimes what's happening, and I'm not saying it's just you, Cynthia, but a little bit, is that I hear and I'm supposed to be excited. And I'm saying, well, I'm really excited, and it sounds good, that you're in tune, you make a nice sound, and that you have a good feeling, and that you look healthy and happy. That's exciting. And that we don't have the coronavirus, no one has masks, that's exciting. We're at a camp, that's exciting. It's a beautiful day, that's exciting. I had a nice breakfast, that's exciting. Is this music exciting when I feel the quarter note pulse too direct and too even? No, that's not exciting. Right, do you understand? So like my job in a half an hour is to figure out how to help you capture them. Right, so at first we're listening for the logic and the meaning of the lines, and now we're looking at the rhythm. So if you play a 3 pulse, does this feel like an allegro to anybody? Feels like an andante to me. Because there's nothing faster almost except for 16ths than a quarter note. So what do we have to work with rhythmically?
Like driving.
Yeah, but it's so pastoral. So what kind of music is in 3? Yeah, what kind of dance? Now, in a waltz, do you play all the beats equally?
No.
What's the nature of it? Yeah, first beat is generally stronger, right? And what other things are going to be, like a chaconne or a sarabande, right? And second beat then. Do you know any waltzes where the third beat is loud? Cha-cha, cha-cha. Only when there's a syncopation. So is it possible, with being in a very subtle way, to play la da so it swings, right? So I think you literally have to do that, because without thinking about it, it goes oh, I missed a little note, I'm so sorry. Right, we notice all our tiny little flaws that no one notices. But that has to have a swing. Yeah? Do you want to go from the top one more time? And that implies a timing. We have 2 minutes? Yeah. So we haven't gotten very far, but these are the important elements, I think. And if the important elements work at the beginning of the piece and you have a clear sense of it, it unfolds from there. If you don't have a clear character idea about what you're playing, what is your story about? What is your play about? A beautiful sound? A beautiful violin playing and piano playing? What is your story about? Right, so we have to spend time. The beginnings of things. Just try and understand. Ready? So we count 1, 2, 3, 1, so good humored, you need to have a certain amount of seriousness and strength. Do you understand what you just do, right? And your personality is so bubbly and you have a beautiful sound, you play so well. But when you play, those bar lines need to move progressively, slowly to each other, so the audience can understand the music. There's a lot of dissonance there. So again, when you play even if you have forzatos, understand? Your bar line has to create enough of a wave that the forzato has something to go against. And that means that the rhythmic pulse of the bar needs to be stronger, even if it's subtle. And it's a really challenging thing. Honestly, because it's hard to quantify it. Understand? But I think you need to actually study. So young body. So we have a bar pulse. Understand? I would look at it that way. And I think it's going to create a wave. And don't worry about playing with such a light, beautiful sound, because you have an incredibly beautiful sound. But in this hall, and I think this is true easily with violin piano anyway, always happens to me, is that the violin needs more substance in the sound, and you need to be not afraid to play something ugly, because it never sounds ugly. Actually, it always sounds beautiful. But sometimes I can't tell what I'm listening to, where the energy is, where the substance is, and where your ear is. And I think the violin's ear has to be in the whole of the music when you play Beethoven Sonata. You cannot just play it apart. Be careful. It's dangerous, do you know what I mean? It's like playing the greatest second violin part in a quartet all by yourself. Or the first violin, or the cello. It sounds ridiculous. There's no hope. It needs to engage. Yeah? Right, great. And thank you for being patient with working so slowly. Very good. So I'm sitting up front, so I can't tell balance that well. But I mean, the piano is huge. I think it was Dingle was teaching a lesson, and the pianist was playing something, you know, and it's like, it's a really important piano part. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know. And as you go along, the balance to me gets better. And like, yeah, much better. But if I was playing the beginning, I played this piece a lot, and sometimes I'm playing the beginning and I think, I just can't get more sound. I'm completely maxed out. Now, it's a forte at the beginning. It's going to be fortissimo, and then it's going to be triple forte. There's nowhere to go. So the movement starts out like, you know, so if you guys are fighting each other or playing chess, you already won. Give him the prize. You won. The piano always wins. No, I shouldn't say that, but do you understand? So you've just got, I mean, basically a pianist can destroy a violinist at any moment. So be nice to your pianists. I mean, all they have to do is put the pedal down and play the bass really loud, and it just will obliterate everything. And I mean, it's a magnificent instrument, actually. It's just between that and sort of the sensibility that when we play Shostakovich or Prokofiev in this period that we're not supposed to phrase too much. Right? Do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be relatively straight. Now, have you heard Prokofiev recordings of him playing the piano?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, what did you think?
It's not as harsh as the way some people play.
True, actually.
Yeah.
What else do you know?
Mostly that. I mean, it was a fantastic player.
Yeah,
really
he was.
unbelievable.
I think it was Malcolm Bilson who gave a lecture about this, and he talked about how Prokofiev in his time played very, very metronomically for his time. But have you ever heard Saint-Saëns recordings of Saint-Saëns playing piano?
I haven't heard that. I've heard.
Has anyone heard that? It was sort of, it was being passed around. I mean, you couldn't tell where the beat was. There was so much rubato. It was like, wow. I mean, if he came for a lesson, the teacher would say he was crazy. And the style has changed a lot over the time. So Prokofiev for his time was quite metric. But when you listen, like when Malcolm Bilson's giving this lecture, probably online, Harvard lecture or something, he notices how like the little notes are a little late and they lead to the downbeat. And there's all this sort of lilt, even if it's, you know, brusca, it's rough, and it's meant to be rough. But, and it's straight, and it's meant to be straight. But, so if you go da da ya ya da da, you have a second. If you go da da dee da 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 boom da oh da, how do you get a breath? I mean, could you get a breath?
No.
That seems really hard to play without a breath, isn't it?
Yeah.
You still sound really good.
Thank you.
It's amazing that you can do that, but like it's happened to me, and I'm like da da, I'm like da da da. Oh my god, how am I gonna go to the top? Right, and then you end up on the upper position on the A or the D string.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, for God's sakes, why didn't I decide to play that on the E string in the first position? Because I can't even feel a sound. Am I wrong? I don't know. That's really intense, you know.
It's
So,
never
you
enough,
just can't find it out. And that's where I think we need to do the normal classical sequences to a degree. Right, and make sure that there's a good fight. All right, like if you watch a sporting match and one team destroys the other, how long do you watch it? Do you watch the whole series if one team is just slowly winning and they're celebrating every night, and the team is getting destroyed under the rest? This goes on over and over. Is that fun to watch? You want a competition. You want an even match. So that means if you can gong 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 gong. So yeah, sometimes also you want to realize that you can fight him, but if he's on first, he's in a dominant position. So whoever starts the melodic material is going to be stronger. And then the answer, it can try to be stronger, but it's just not going to be perceived that way. You go da-dee-ya-dum, da-dee-ya-dum. It's normal. We go da-dee-ya-dum, da-dee-ya-dum. It's like, oh man, violin is really bossy. It's going to sound funny, and that happens sometimes, but rarely. So, play a game for me, okay? Play it a little under tempo with exactly the feeling, the timing, and energy that you want, but and hold it. You know what I mean? Like you're holding a team of horses that's like, if you let them go, World War III, right? Because it's got that sort of power. But I want you to hold it, I want you to really listen for how it goes back and forth. You know what I mean? Like you're doing a fight movie in slow motion, and you're making sure that, you know, no one actually gets hurt. Yeah. Okay? Is there a ratio between evenness of articulation, you know, and what's the word for it? Dialogue, speaking. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know what the word is for that. In other words, shape. So say this, bum, 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 say that for me. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so let's say I say bum, 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 bum. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's marked. He writes markatissimo and pesante, heavy and marked. That's true. But does I don't know how everyone else hears, but I need to hear ya ra as part of the information. And then I need to hear ya da ya ra ya ra ya. I'm going to pass that. Now if I hear bum bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum ba ba bum. Did you hear those things?
Well, only because you mentioned
describe it, right. So, you know what I mean? So how do you teach that? You know, so to me, it's almost like maybe what we should do is sometimes take the piece and get rid of the markings. You know, like I'll play a piece that says markatissimo and pesante. You know, I'll play it for 30 years. And the whole 30 years, I'm trying to get it markatissimo and pesante. I never once play it slurred. And then I have the slurred part I play trying to get a better legato. For 30 years, I'm still trying to get a better legato. And I never played separate prose. That's the truth, actually. That's ridiculous. We should manipulate the form. So try once, play legato. Then we can hear a melody. And then you can mark the melody. But the marking of the melody, also things are across the beat, right? I mean, if you were looking at a score, it would sound yum bum bum yum bum bum, right?
Yeah.
Obvious that the harmony goes here. But those things are on what? The second, the end of one. It's marked in 2-2, this piece. Right? So you have to decide whether you're going to go bum 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 bum, or just go with it and go bum 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 and be off, and then switch. So there's an empty beat or an added beat, right? You have to decide. But if you play bum 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 bum, I think you lose because I don't understand the context of the language. It can't be that way. All right? So yeah, we should get the boxing gloves in there. Bum bum bum. Right? So don't be afraid of a little bit feeling the pulse. Huh? And try, this is kind of maybe silly, but turn to him once so you can actually have a good fight. Yeah? Hey, go after him. You know? Do you have a brother?
I don't.
Do you have a brother?
I don't. I also don't.
I have a brother. He used to pick on me non-stop. He was a great brother. He played with me too. But man, did he pick on me. And he was always bigger than me and always smarter than me. He was always stronger than me. But I was faster than him. So I take a shot at him and I get away. But you know, it's like, there's a certain sort of fighting, I think that's part of this. And so, see if, make believe your brother's in, dum, 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 kind of give him a little kick, you know, and let him kick back, you know, and hold him down, let him get away, and then let him come out, you know. It's just, I think that's how it is. I think you have to play less. You gotta let him out. Yeah. So it's just weird. It's like, can you hold all that power in your body and play bum 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 ba-da-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-da-da-dum bum bum not ba-da-da-da-dum bum bum. Does that make sense? How do you do it? And then bum 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 bum. Not bum 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. It's so easy to do that, but I think it decimates a violin player. A violin player is done. If I had to spend a whole masterclass on balance, it's worth it. It is really challenging. Do any violinists have this challenge when they play with a grand piano with a stick open? Whoa! It's a lifelong journey of difficulty. Now, what really we should have is a half stick, and I don't know why people don't give us a half stick. Because the quarter stick is too like closed, and then the full stick is like boom. All right, so help us, yeah? Ready? Got it. You're on top. The answer. Better. Now play for them. Good. That's better. You see, it starts to swing. Having fun? Are you having fun? Yeah, of course. Have a little fun. All right. Up. So you have these like cadenza times, like yeah. So you gotta go bum. Boom. Never go bum. It's too hard to play all those notes anymore. No one fakes anymore. Actually, that's not true. But the feeling is a little bit faking is important because it makes it unstable and then becomes stable again. Everything is stable. Am I talking to myself? If everything is stable, there's no movement. It's just the beginning of the movement. Right? It has to be wood to burn. We're going to make a fire here, and the end of the movement has to go up in a blaze. Right? So don't show the whole fire at the beginning. But it's going to go up in a blaze, so you're absolutely right. It's pretty fun. Right, you want to do it one more time? Because I think this is the key. We got to stop. Ready? Almost. 2 minutes? All right, let's not do it again. So go from bum ba da 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 da. Go. There. When you have something like this, how's it go? Da, da, dee, da, da. I can't play this so long ago. Awful mess. And then what do you play? Da, da. And you have to hear like, because you're so smart, you play it so easy. If I was playing a piano, I'd be like, oh my goodness, where the notes? He plays like boom, boom, boom. You understand that? Yeah, that's a show. Yeah, but don't be that smart. Be more like me. Wait, and each one a little less. Like, da, da, da. I would have to go like, da, da, oh my gosh, where is it? Da, 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 da. I'd be scared to death. Da, 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 da. And boom, now that's great. So you're insecure. It's a good thing. And then play the bottom note. Boom. Now, can you put the pedal down? I don't know if you wrote it, but put the pedal down just for a second. And make it more beautiful, like warm. And then can you play this note? This is our last thing. Just have to relax. Relax. Just enjoy. And wide the vibrato. Relax. Yeah, relax. Yeah, relax. Yeah. Play that bass line for him. Oh. B flat. Yeah. Now don't play so loud for him, but have that much voice. Do you hear the bass? Suck the bass into your sound and follow the bass line and just relax. Like just think life is great. What a wonderful sound I feel in my body. It's all good. And then make a mistake and still say it's all good. It's really hard to do. So the sound will cut because you're critical. I know. That helps improvement to a degree until it doesn't anymore. Right. Is there any way around that? No, it's really a pain. Yeah? But you have to let go at some point. So literally make a mistake on purpose. So just stay in the listening and in the sound. Stay in the listening and the sound. It doesn't matter the mistake. Oh, it's hard to deal with that. Oh. Great. So when the da 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 dum, and just giving the bass, sing between the bass line, and everything else can make up. Yeah, like right. So and the bass line doesn't have to be the loudest voice. It just has to be the most felt voice. Yeah. Right from dee da 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 boom. I struggle with it too, I understand. We gotta stop. So do you hear, is that Itamar, is that bass line leading more? A little bit. Yeah, you gotta really exaggerate it, yeah. I remember Robert Mank doing a class and he would say, can everyone just exaggerate what he's saying much more so it can change? So that means if you have this note, so essentially there are no accents. Yeah. Work with it. I think if you get your first theme and your second theme, and then once you get into biddly diddly dee, just hold your ground and play strong, keep your bow in the string, but make sure you have direction in your phrasing. I think, and study the counterpoint. Alright, so the counterpoint is the boss, I think. Yeah, and it sounds like the pulse is the boss and playing well is the boss. I think the logic of the counterpoint and the harmonic implication is the boss. Yeah. Great. Thank you, guys. you know, it's just a half an hour goes fast, and I work so slow. So maybe choose the movement that you want to play. I think the first movement's much more difficult musically. Actually, I think it's very difficult musically. The second movement's easier musically and more fun. So choose which one you want to play. First movement.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, can you tell me just a little bit about the history of this piece, when it's written and what his circumstances?
So this is like the last of his Debussy completed, and I know that he wanted something like Bach cycle, Sonata cycle. So the other two are cello sonata and the sonata for viola and harp.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a commission of 6 that he didn't finish.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And what was happening with him at that point?
He was dying.
He was dying.
Yeah.
Right. And what was the last years of his life like?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about the Bach thing, because I guess there were concerts happening that were in celebration of the greatest composer of France, Debussy, and the greatest composer of Germany, or Bach. And he would go to these concerts and be morbid. He was depressed. He thought, well, Bach is like the greatest and he's nothing. Right, so it was an odd time for him, a time of breakdown from what I've read. He could not sleep, he was in a lot of pain, and he wanted to write like the greatest classical piece in this movement. And from what I read, this movement was really hard for him to write. And the scherzo was not so hard for him to write. It was quite playful and fun. And the last movement, he wrote did you know he wrote 2 different last movements? That's what I read. And he chose the happy, bright one, the simple one. He also wrote a dark one. So it's just some context for this piece, because this piece is quite different than the cello sonata, which is more kind of Spanish and it's emotionally very clear. And I think this first movement is not emotionally so clear. It's quite difficult, actually. So with that in mind, again, it's like my ear just says really, really basic things, which is like the very beginning. I know it's hard for those notes to speak, but do you think that we're feeling pianissimo, dolce sostenuto?
Yeah, sure.
Is there any way?
Of course.
It sounds like a piano. It sounds like a really nice piano, like piano amabile, like a friendly piano. And it's something, now you're written what? Piano?
Mm-hmm.
Dolce espressivo. So who's the main line? Violin. Right, so I don't hear your sound taking the lead. So my ear doesn't go there. Do you have hairpins in like the 8th bar or something?
No.
Or
I
10th
have
bar?
a dash.
You don't have hairpins?
Oh, there, yeah, I have it.
Yeah? I don't hear them at the beginning at all. When you come back in the recapitulation, they sound great. What else? The first time it's written slurred. Wait, it's just, I don't know how you're supposed to really play that, honestly. The F's are all slurred together. But I can't hear any articulation. I hear da 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 both times that you play. So oftentimes after a note, I can't hear the next note. Now, on the other hand, when I hear the piano change a note, I hear every change of the piano note. That means there's not enough molding of the piano sound, and the violin sound does not articulate in a way that matches. And that's tricky. And it's also different in a hall, you know? So we have to let these piano sounds die, because otherwise we don't have a chance, yeah? So let's start from the beginning and see if we can get into a sense of it. The other thing is timing in this piece is really hard. And so one has to really look at how do you feel the bar pulse. And I think you just have to keep looking for it. Some places are beautiful, some places have tremendous feeling and nuance, but to make the line work all the way through is a challenge. There are many places that are really, really special sounding. But, all right?
Yeah.
So let's start from the top one more time. You can do a rubato, but I can't feel how you feel the pulse. You let it spread so much that it doesn't react. And then da-dee-dee-da, of course, it's hard to speak because those are also double G's, but we can't hear any rhythm. They're right here. Better. How do I teach this? I think it's very difficult to hear the music in a way where it goes, you play the first chords, right? The second one sounds accented, right? And it's too hard to do. But the second one should sound softer, maybe, than the first one. And then the fifth bar should be probably softer than the first bar. Yeah? And that is one line, and because the chords are written vertically, it sounds and my mind goes, okay, I got it. And once I say, okay, I got it, I say, well, where am I going? And I say, I have no idea. And why did they leave me there? I'm lost again in a verticality. It's over and over. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's just me, but like I just get crazy. Like the river doesn't flow because it's vertical. And for me, it's trying to get things right that causes the problem. So if you play your first chord, in the fifth bar, softer, relax, softer, and then more clear the violin, and then I'm married to a pianist, I have to be very careful. Yeah, it's really the hardest thing, it is, to find that balance. So what I'm looking for is, so I want to hear a G flat. I don't want to hear an articulation, I want to hear a G flat, because it's E flat minor. It's sad, but I don't feel sad. I feel, boom, a new harmony. And I say, what does that harmony mean? I say, I don't know. And I'll say, well, why did you play it? And I'll say, am I crazy? Am I the only person that demands to try to understand what it means? Am I alone on the earth? Help? Maybe I am, that's okay. To me, it just doesn't make enough sense. Over and over. What do you think, Phil? Help me out. Am I climbing the wrong tree? It's a step, I won't answer you, it's not a fair question. But I want to understand at the beginning of the piece what the context of the piece is, if I can. You have to work for it. You expect that this is understood. This is not understood. Not even by musicians. Okay? So, when you play at the beginning, the first sound needs to have a brightness. Because if it goes, then it just sits around. It just sits around. It needs to have more like a wanting, right? A wanting. Like a problem. He's dying. So, play, please. Right, and then something like, where's it good? Do you feel the vacuum? Do you feel the vacuum? The space, right? And those waves going to suck it in, right? So, that should be a rich sound. I think. Again, it should be. It's silly to say that. It's fun. And her sound comes in, ooh, slow. It doesn't all speak on the piano like bang, home run, bang, home run. Do you know what I mean? If you ever play baseball, it sounds like an aluminum bat all the time. The ball just flies off the bat. You know, there's not enough absorption. And of course I'm singing slower, but how else can we understand it? You write 60 to the bar. It's fast. It's hard to do. If you understand it slower, maybe at some point it will go faster. And then is tonic, right? And then is C. Is it C major, right? Or is it C minor? C major. Yeah. And then what's the next chord you play after the C major? Can you play that? Yeah. Can you play it like with incredible mystery? How do you say it? Do you hear that? Play the C major chord before that. Oh, it's so warm. Play that fuller. Like, oh, full and beautiful. Yes. And then wait. And then. Yes. Yes. See, that's really important for the piece. And then the next chord is resolution, right? Yeah. But that's like ding dong, right? Like happy. And then again, right? And then what? She has all these harmonies. That has to start really soft, right? Because you have to crescendo. Right? So go from there, start like suck it up. That's better. Right. And it's better. It should feel like we should practice descending and ascending things that don't have keys. I feel like I'm rolling down the steps all the time, you know? Like let's say we're sliding down a hill. Well, that's kind of fun. But let's say we're sliding down the steps. So many notes. Gradually inside. You feel it gradually inside. And then you play the keys. It will sound better. And it's to move slower inside. All right? Do you want to try together? Beginning. Play the beginning. Breathe. Your written piano. Pianissimo is here. Piano is here. Forte is here. Fortissimo is here. Don't put piano too low. I do that all the time too. It's so easy to do. But it sounds pianissimo. And what's going to be a pianissimo then? So can you play near the bridge? Can you hold the violin more stable? Be brighter? And then, so do you hear it ring in the hall? Try to find a little bit more body in the sound, a little bit more core. Yes, that's right. And then you can come down from there. Yeah? With a consonant, with just it's a first beat, you know? It shouldn't be a pickup. I know it's more comfortable in the up. Can you struggle to get it to be a downbeat? Good. Keep going. And wait. There's a rest. Go. Okay. That's better. That's better. You know, if I were you, I'd practice heavy lights. Did anyone teach you heavy lights like this? It's really hard to teach in Masterclass. So, you know, because when I'm working with sonatas, I just want to teach them music. Because there's not enough attention to balance and how things work out as a piece of music. But for the violin, I want to teach basics. So heavy lights, there are three things that affect your sound, right? What are they?
Bow speed.
Bow speed?
Pressure.
What was the second one?
Pressure.
What was the second one?
Contact point.
Contact point's great. What's the third one? All right, so let me ask you a question. Pressure's fine, okay.
Length.
But, no. Pressure's fine, but like, do you feel your body on the stage?
Yeah.
Are you pressing it down?
No.
Well, then how come it's still there?
Weight.
Yes, wait, okay. That's maybe an important distinction. I mean, I press too. Sometimes you have to press. But like usually when I press, it's not a good sign. Wait. Okay. So the thing that probably you need to look at the most is weight. Right? And what you do is you get a metronome, you put it at 56, like this. Something like this. All right? And you do 4 clicks to a bow. All right? And you start out like this. Two clicks heavy, try with me. Try with me. Click, 2 clicks heavy, and 2 clicks light. And 2 clicks heavy. 2 clicks light, okay? Heavy and light. Heavy and light. Then heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. Then heavy, 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 keep moving the bow. 4 clicks to a bow. So 4 clicks to a bow. You'll try it later, you'll get it. So then 4. That's it, and up. And 6. Good. Everything heavy. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Lights. 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Okay. You do that with 3 clicks to a bow and another string. 2 clicks to a bow, and then 1 click to a bow. So the bow speed's getting faster. But you still do heavy lights. Okay? As you do it, feel your hand, so your hand is actually resting on the bow. Because sometimes like I'm playing and I'm like, what am I doing? You know, I'm squeezing my shoulder, I'm squeezing my hand, I don't realize it. So if you use the weight, actually by letting the weight fall into the string so we feel where the bow is. So keep feeling that. And it's an amplification. It's not a force. Now, this would be similar in the piano to practicing like, can you play your loudest note? Like play the loudest sounding thing. How do you vary the dynamic on the piano?
With varying amounts of weight.
With weight and speed, I guess, of attack. So let's say you were to go from, we don't have to do it now, but 25 or 15 different gradations of weight. You want to try a little bit? Like play, you want to start strongest or softest? Okay. So just play the least amount of possible weight to get a sound. No, let it not speak. That's okay. Great. So maybe you would practice that like 10 times in order to really find the softest one. Okay? And then go ahead and play a little bit heavier. Good. And then go ahead and play a little bit heavier. Go ahead and play a little less. 3. Go ahead. Try to get to 20. 4. 5. Careful. 6. Good. A little heavier. 7. Good. 8. Good. 9. But that's really good, you know. So if you could get up to 25, or you know, if you could get to 50, you're a genius. You know, and it's the same for the violin. If we have that range, right? Now, let's play the beginning. So that means when you play 2 minutes, when you play yo da da yo look at the original bowings, because they're really, really long bows, and I didn't do them for years. And when I started to do them, then I would use the weight. Because sometimes the bow change is hard. We go da-da-da-da-da-da, and the bow's kind of like hard to connect. So sometimes you can experiment with that. But just now, before we stop, just play the opening and raise the weight. Okay, and then we'll stop. More effective? Quite a bit more effective. So I should mix teaching basics with music. That's what I learned. Because it's a way in. All right? So when you play on the lower string, generally do you need more weight or less weight? Yes. That's important. Now, some of the places in this, when you're up high, you can use no weight, and it will sound incredibly good. Yeah. Bravo. Much better. Bravo. Yeah.
We can do whatever works best.
Yeah, I think just play them both through, then maybe we'll just choose one to work on.
Okay, thank you.
Really like it. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's a lot of elegance. You know, this is such less complicated chromatically than everything else we've heard tonight. It's like, wow. It's lovely. And you have an elegance to how you play and how you work on it, and it's really, really nice. That's the main thing. Now, you know, the first one just sounds more developed, like you played it longer, you know. And so, and it's really quite nice. I mean, I think there are two things in general that you could look at. And otherwise, I was just going to work with you on that middle section of the second one of 15, just like ways to practice, just fun, you know. But without changing too much, you know, a sense of like key area resonance, right? So if we play an arpeggio in one key, does it actually amplify that key feeling or resonance? Sometimes we can play it pretty clear, but it can sound a little bit, I don't know, not specific enough to that sound, to that key. So the articulations or the timings are little vibratos. Now, on the other hand, when you play boom, and you grab the bottom note, it creates an amazing resonance that's really brilliant, and the whole opens up. But sometimes when there's other stuff, it's not always, it can sound a little whiny or something, you know? Or slightly muted. I think to look for that, ways to use your articulation and the touch, the little vibratos, to create overtones, you know? So, when looking at number 15, there's some odd markings, right? So what does he write when he writes this one? What's the indication?
There's like a dot on each note.
Yeah, and he writes what? Staccato.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, and then there's passato too.
And what does passato mean?
It's like more dignified, like steady, poised.
Right, like religious.
Yeah.
Interesting. Religious, and then slurred markings with staccato marking. I that seems an unlikely combination, doesn't it? It must be part of their rhetoric of the style of the time, you know? Because in our day, we never see that. Would you ever see religious, dignified, legato, slur with dots and right staccato, and octaves, everything.
Yeah.
This is funny. So I'm not sure how to parse that, you know, and then you have these interrupted fortes that are dignified. Yeah, I mean, you carry it off pretty well. I don't know how to so just for the ear later, you could try and, I think maybe you could work on to the bridge and away from the bridge exercise.
Okay.
So I just taught everyone heavy light, which is like with the metronome at 56. So you can also go to the bridge, and then you go away from the bridge. So that means your sound will go, la da da, li da da, lo da di, ho. You can distribute your sounding point in order to create more levels of color, so it doesn't sound like it's the same level.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend for that. Do you want to play bar 9? Now, how would you practice this?
I do it by rhythm.
You want to show us?
Yeah. And I do it the opposite way.
Show. And then what?
And then I do. And then the second note.
Dude, go through the whole thing. Someone just taught me this. It said, what are 3 ways that you could work on music? And of course, there are more than that. But the answer was slowly, in rhythms, which is what you're doing, and in different patterns. Now, this pattern is a little hard to break because, you know, it's all, the chordal thing is all groups of 4. Right.
Yeah.
So it got better from the practice. I mean, actually, it's nice to hear someone practice in the room. It's very relaxing. And I would say when I'm walking around and listening to my own practice too, that it's possible that people are sometimes practicing too loud and too fast on the whole. So I think if we have 3 weeks here, if we just slow down a little bit, practice a little quieter, practice a little softer, and I think the result will be better. I do. And of course, you know, whatever percentage of the time really perform, you know, play full out, but not too much. Now, I want to show you something that Miss DeLay taught me, and partially because Kurt and I both studied with Miss DeLay years ago, and we were roommates in Aspen. I think, or we were neighbors anyway. Yeah, we spent years in the same class, you know. And he's a little bit older than me, but we had a lot of years in the same territory there. And it was a very special time. And she was a very special woman. And she taught these things that were so simple that it still shocks me. So the heavy light exercise comes from her. A lot of the really, really simplest things that I've learned come from her, and they're still useful. Now, to me, in your intonation, they're like small intonation things. Basically, it's good. So there are two things you could do. One, Li Lin taught me, who was my student. And he said, Ian, teach more etudes. It's like, okay. You gotta watch your students, they'll tell you what to do once they graduate. And he said to practice Session Opus 8, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes with vibrato, 5 minutes without, for small intonation things. Because it helps with the shifting. And this is a perfect example because it's actually tricky to get your first finger down and to measure the shift, you know, the pattern of the shift. You know? Now, Mr. Lay taught something simpler than that. It's going to be hard to demonstrate because I guess I can pull up a chair. But basically what she did is sit in an armchair. How did she get away with this, Kurt? You know, she taught the most sweet and simple things, you know, and they were so elegant. It was like, wait, am I in the second grade? You know, you would ask yourself, you know, how does she teach all these fantastic violin players, you know? She's teaching me something that like I could do when I was 5, you know? Isn't it? It's true. It's so sweet. And so she would have us sit in I don't know how I'm really going to do this today, so I'll just tell you. She would sit in an armchair with arms. Did she teach you this? With the arms this way? And she would take the violin, and she would play one note at a time. Oh! And she would have something like this, and she would look at the music. See, we can't support both arms. And then she would say, okay, Sugar Plum, this is the game, okay? Right. One note at a time, okay? Take more space between the notes than the note itself. If the note's out of tune, go back one note. Now, I used to practice this so much that my father would say, Ian, if you keep practicing like that, you're going to turn into a musical idiot. Because I would sit in my room and do the basics, but they saved me at a certain point because I forced. That's my habit. I force myself, and then the hands get tight. And so this saved me. Now it goes like this. You resting your arm, right? A little sharp. Uh-oh, flat. I can't go back a note. So you need to have all day to sit like this. Still flat. So go, good, Sugar Plum. A little sharp. A little sharp. I mean, my lesson would be like, I'd be doing this for 20 minutes with her. And she looked happy as pie. She's eating her grapefruit. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a kid. I mean, she teaches Pullman. And she looks happy as pie teaching me. So I'm like, she's like, little flat. Isn't it true, Kurt? Like, she just had all the time in the world. She was also 10 hours late for lessons. I loved it because I got to practice. A little sharp. She'd be like, that's fine, Sugar Plum. Let's go back a note. Can you believe it? And then when you get here, then she'd say, you know, you can cheat on the shift. So I practiced. And she'd go, oh, Sugar Plum, that's wonderful. You know, it's not that you can't lift your finger. Of course you can lift your finger. But she let you have the little, you know, use a little sheet. And then she goes, oh, that is so smart. And you sit there and go, was that smart? Was that smart? I thought it was okay. You know, it was very sweet, and so that we could find that note. A little flat. A little flat. I mean, you know, oh no, a little flat. I have to go back one. So this was like this, and you would do however many bars. 4, 8, whatever you like, 16, okay? And then she would have you play like under tempo soft, just walk through it. Yeah, and if that was like, if you got like pretty good, you know, you could do it one more time or 3 times maybe maximum. Now you don't stop in that exercise. You just play through the whole thing. If something's a little out of tune, you make a little mental note. Yeah? No, if it's really bad, then, you know, like do it later in the day or the next day or something. You know, go back and do it again later. All right? Now, after that, then she said sugar plum. That's phenomenal. And, you know, I look at it and like, it was fine. It wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't phenomenal. I just was okay. It was okay. But she helped you to feel like that those little incremental things that worked were really important and really beautiful. You know what I mean? It's like a young plant or something. You look at the little young tree and you go, wow, that's phenomenal. You know? Geez, that doesn't look like an oak tree. It looks like a little sprout, you know? And she's like, yeah, but that's phenomenal. And you realize later, actually it is phenomenal. Because it's the root of it. Yeah. So, then she would have you do the next part exercise, which is like this. Try this later, I'm sorry there's not time. So that you're like, so just like 2 or 3 vibratos. Yeah. And the same exercise. That's it. And then she would say, okay, sugar plum, performance. You're like, okay, performance. You get into your plan. And it was just better. You know, mine was never perfect, but it was so much better. That's it. So 4 steps. First, slow. Sound doesn't matter. Nothing matters, just the pitch. And relax. She suggested I watch the baseball game. Did she tell you that, Kurt? No? Oh yeah. For me, I must have been really intense, you know. She's like, Ian, you can watch a baseball game while you do this exercise. She said it takes less than 1% of your brain energy. To do this well takes less than 1% of your brain. I'd be like, oh. Yeah. She really want me to relax so I could just hear. And then, so, more space between the notes and the notes. If a note's off, repeat it. Relax. You can cheat on the shifts a little bit. Then play it through a little under tempo, softly. And then take a moment, and then a little vibrato on each note. Just 2 or 3, if you want. And then play it. And see how it goes. Because the body's in such a relaxed state that the pitch comes out actually without having to think about it. And I think that's the difference between like trying to get it as we're going, where it feels like, you know, we're trying to fix the car as we're driving the car. So she doesn't do that. She just puts the car up and like, look, you know, we turned the screw. Oh, perfect. You're like, well, that's all you do? I'm like, yeah. I was like, anyone can do that. She's like, yeah. So that was the root. Now, do you know about drop release and all those things? Yeah. So that's the other thing that I thought was super from her. Drop release for the left hand, which is like this. Do you guys all know this? Everyone? Who doesn't know this? Some of you don't. So there are 3 things. I'm going to do it really fast. 3 things that left hand does. Someone tell me what they are. Press? Don't say press. Don't say don't. Drop. Drop. And release. So that's to go, play up, right? And then, now the release one, she had a very long story about, where she would have you cross your leg and find your. She taught me this like 10 times. She taught different people different things. It's just what I needed. You know, she taught one of my friends, always play with the hands separate to learn. And she told me, never play with the hands separate. She said, never, never. And that's because my brain worked different than his. And he really excelled by taking things apart. Interesting. So she would talk about the reflex, and she would talk about the camera and the flash. And then she would have you do your fourth finger like this. Do you know this one? You bring your fourth finger along the third finger and caress the third finger with the fourth finger. Caress the third finger with the fourth finger all the way to the second joint. And then you take your bow off and you check that bass joint. The bass joint is this group of knuckles here. Check that and make sure it's not working. And then after that, she would have us do this exercise that went like this. You know, this little lizard thing, lizard catching a fly. Boom, yeah. And that happens just from the bass joint. Again, you don't open your fingers like that. So you'd imagine it's a flash, and it's as fast as a flash. Yeah, that's it, Phil. Fast reflexes, guy. So it just goes pop, and by the time it's there, it's done. It's over. This is then how we use the hand to relax, release that way, and that creates the release. All right, that's drop release. That's 1/3 of violin left hand technique. What else to do with the left hand? What else did we do with the left hand? Vibrato. Okay, there was mainly one exercise. Right, and then you speed it up, and then in rhythms, whatever you like, speed it up, and as you speed it up, you lose the harmonic, and you could lose the wrist. You could do it more from your arm. Right. The other exercise, vibrato, she taught this exercise. Give me a number 1 to 5. 4. I think I got 3. Usually I get an extra one. So that's for if you have a slow vibrato and you want to be quick. That was vibrato. That's 2/3 of violin playing. Oh! And then what else is left? What's left? Help me. What does the left hand do in the violin? Shifting, yes. And she would say there are 2 kinds of shifts. Can you tell me what the 2 kinds of shifts are?
There's like the high pitch shift.
Yeah.
And then the anchor.
Right, the one where it's like the, right, it's called French shift, and she called that Russian shift. Right? And then she would say, great, Sherlock. Now, on the whole, do you shift light, medium, or heavy? What do you think?
Light?
Yeah. And she would go, wow, what an incredible mind you have. And you'd be like, do I? What did I say? Light. You know, and that would just reinforce that light was good, you know? So light. And she'd say, now when you get near the note, you slow down and speed up, usually. Slow down, yeah. That's it. And she would demonstrate it. And then she'd look at you and say, that's all of left hand technique. You'd be like, couldn't be. Look at those guys, how they play everything so great. She'd say, no, that's it. It's, if you have anything that's happening with the music and you need to sort it out with your left hand, it's one of those 3 things. And then she would demonstrate shifting and slowing down light, and then slowing down when you hear the note. And she'd do it like 5, 10 times. And she'd say, see, sugar pie, you could hit it 100 out of 100. That was it. Yeah. So that's, I like to, I always have to remember to teach those things, because they're so simple. And without them, I'd never be able to play the violin. She saved me. I had no idea how to organize those things. Not the slightest clue. So those things were great. Yeah. So listen, you sound wonderful, and you're doing great work. I think have fun with it, keep learning, and really, really excellent. So and thank you everyone for playing today. I'd also like to thank Phil and David for all that they do, because oh my goodness.